Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. I know originally at the end of last month I had said we would be getting back to the G1 era, but I decided since we're now starting to get some more of the Earthrise toys being released, I thought I'd stay on top of them. Plus, we also know, for those of you who have been with the channel a long time, you also know that October we always cover some Pretenders, so we'll get back to the G1 line here in October, and we'll spend this month taking a look at more Earthrise toys. Right up here we have the Decepticon clones, Pounce and Wingspan. Of course, we have Pounce here on the left and Wingspan on the right. These guys are sold in a 2-pack. They're an exclusive to Target stores, and they retail there for around $25, so they're not too expensive for an exclusive. Unlike some of what we got last year with the Siege toys, both of their exclusives that were on the retail shelves went for about $80, and only one was really about worth it. The other one really wasn't worth the money. Now, of course, for comparison's sake, let's stand them next to their Generation 1 counterparts. And right away you can see the Earthrise ones in the middle there are small, slightly smaller than their originals. And of course this time around they do not come with any accessories. So they have no guns. But of course, since we're still getting Battle Masters, and they're making the Micromasters become guns again, they can just use one of those as their weapons instead. Of course, also on them we do have a significant improvement in articulation. Now, it's the same on both of them, really. But we'll go ahead and demonstrate for you. You can turn their heads from side to side just like that. Their arms can be raised up about so far, and their arms can be rotated at the shoulder all the way. But you may have to move the arm out a bit to clear any obstructions from the back. They can bend their arms at the elbow a little more than 90 degrees, and they do have a swivel at the bicep. Their legs can be spread apart to do a full splits. And of course they do have the ability to twist at their thighs. You can raise the leg at the hip about 90 degrees and bend them at the knee 90 degrees. So these modern ones do have considerably more articulation than their Generation 1 counterparts. Now we're going to take a look at each one individually so that we can do a better comparison. Now the instructions start with Wingspan, so we will start with Wingspan as well. So we'll bring the new one here a little closer to the camera. As you can see, they did a nice homage to the rub signs, as the symbols are in the same place as they were on the Generation 1 toy. This, of course, is very similar to the rub sign design that you would use to tell the two toys apart, even though it was pretty evident when you turned him around. And I can't tell if that's the exact design or not, because mine's kind of burned out, but from what I can make out of the shadow of it, it is very similar. And of course, the biggest noticeable change is on his backside. You do not see the bird wings on there as a backpack. Of course, he is carrying more of the bird kibble on his backside than what the original one did. But at any rate, it is a nice change compared to the original. So that is at least one majorly grand improvement on the toy. And that much I am highly in favor of. Believe me, folks. This is how badly the clones were done in the G1 era. That is a nice improvement. Now, of course, we're going to want to transform Wingspan, and this time around, we're going to do something completely different. It's been suggested to me by a new viewer that I should show you how to transform these guys, since they don't transform the same way as their originals. And I'm starting to agree with them that I should show this feature off to you. So, if this is something that you all like, and you'd like to see one of them from either Earthrise or Siege, or heck, even the Titans that we've done recently that I didn't transform on camera, if you would like to see that done for any of them, please specify which one you want to see down in the comments down below here. I will look into that and consider doing videos on transforming them for your entertaining pleasure, if that's something you'd like to see. And don't be shy, I won't be upset. Just be honest and tell me of any you want to see. Right now, let's take a look and transform Wingspan. First thing to do on Wingspan is you will rotate his arms at the bicep so that the bird claws here are sticking out at the sides. Then next, you'll grab him by the shoulders and rotate the shoulders inward so that his arms go onto his chest. There we go. Then the next thing we're going to do is we come down here to his legs, and we'll turn them at the thigh so that his feet point outward. Like so. Then we're going to bring him downward like this and bring his legs out into a full splits. Just exactly like that. Now at the ends of his legs here, we are going to fold out this overlap, and that will form his wings. Just exactly like that. And then now we're going to take this white piece and we will fold it down over the robot head to create the bird head. And then, of course, we're going to finish adjusting the wings by unsnapping his hip and then folding the wings up. As you can see, there's a little post here right on his shoulder, and that should connect in just behind the leg of his, just behind his knees, and securely mount the wings in place. Just exactly like that. And then, of course, you can adjust the bird tail feathers. And here we are. This is his hawk mode. And I gotta tell you, folks, while it's not exactly the best, it is a considerable improvement over the Generation 1 version. Now, of course, it was posted not too long ago, a review on them. But for those of you who weren't around or didn't see that, here's the Generation 1 version in hawk mode. We'll adjust him a little bit, try to get him to stay standing. One leg's a little loose. There we go. As you can see, it is a considerable improvement on the original. Because let's face it, when the original is turned to face us, here, that just looks dumb. Whereas at least this one, when he's looking and facing at us, he at least looks a little more convincing that he is a bird. And of course, he also doesn't have rocket boosters on the back of his guns to help get him off the ground. Because let's face it, like I said in my review for the G1 version, that's got to be the only way this guy's ever getting off the ground. Let's get him out of the way here and take more of a look at this. The articulation is pretty static for him, unfortunately, due to the fact that you secure the wings in. But if you do remove them slightly, you can fold the wings up, and they can be folded down, so you can get some limited flight movement, but you also lock them into place to keep them horizontal. And of course his feet don't really move much due to the fact that the elbow joint is against the body, so you don't get any movement there, and you really can't do anything to move the head due to the way it's set up. But otherwise, it is a vast improvement on the original. Now let's see if we can just say the same thing about his brother. Now here we have Pounce, and again you can see the same differences. Of course, the kibble on their backs is also the biggest difference too. Looks like the animal portions, like the legs, are done in a purple color instead of the, I don't know if that's magenta or lighter purple or whatever in the world it is. It's a rather ugly color. So it does look pretty terrible on the original. So that is a nice improvement in the looks department at least. Everything kind of matches up and doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And again, as we take a closer look here at Pounce, he does have a puma head featured on his chest to indicate that he becomes a puma. Or as my one uncle's cat would think of it is, a big version of herself. Oh well, cats are weird creatures anyways, what can we say, folks? I personally don't have any pets, but I have enough friends that have their own, and I hear the horror stories. I hear the stories of wild animals with attitude. Even though they're domesticated animals, they still feel like wild ones with attitude. Alright, let's transform new Pounce. Alright, to transform him, you start doing the same thing. We're going to turn his arms at the bicep so that the fists point outward on him. And then next we kind of spread his legs out just a smidgen, because we're going to reach behind the legs and we're going to fold out the rear legs for the puma. Just fold them out all the way so you know you got them out. Just the instructions here on my lap, they're pretty small. We're supposed to also rotate the legs at the thigh, so that way they're out, and then you fold them up at the knee a bit. Then we come back here top side. We fold out the tail. And then on these purple spots here on his back, we're going to fold down the legs by folding them at the knee. And then we rotate them at his shoulder outward, like so. And then shift the arms at the shoulders so they go down onto his chest, bringing the cat legs down with him. And I suggest that you rotate his head after that, and then fold down the big cat head. And then there you have it, folks. Pounce is now a puma. And in this version, he certainly does look a little more intimidating and menacing, unlike the original. As you can see with the way he is, he's standing on some pretty spindly legs. Almost in a way that reminds me of Garfield. During Garfield's 25th birthday, the series did a run where modern Garfield got a chance to meet original Garfield. The original design was a considerably bigger cat. Modern Garfield wanted to know how old Garfield managed to see out of the tiny little eyes. Old Garfield then retorted back, "First you explain how you stand on those spindly legs." Kind of a nice joke to the fans, but when you look at this version, when you look at the G1 version of Pounce, I can't help but think that, because those spindly legs should not support the weight of that body. The new one, however, at least looks a little more imposing and a lot less ridiculous. And of course, he also has a little more articulation with his legs, because the front ones do have a notch at the knee, but unfortunately it bends the knee in the opposite direction, but it does allow you to position it in a variety of ways so you can set him up to stalk his prey however you choose. Let's see if we can get him to get into a lower pose here. Oh yeah, that's not bad. That doesn't look bad at all. That's usually about how most cats get and look just before they go into a full charge at you. Or a full charge into the grocery bag. But in any way, it is a nice improvement on the original, again. Now we get to my thoughts on them. What do I think of Pounce and Wingspan's return? Strangely enough, I do like this appearance of them. This is a considerable improvement upon their original toys. Now, I know there have been a few versions of them done in the intervening years since the Generation 1 era and now, but I don't have any of those versions. Either I couldn't find them, or just didn't get around to getting them, or whatever. There's 100 different reasons why I probably didn't get any of the others. But I like the fact that these are considerable improvement. They have enough detail on their robot modes to pay homage to the original toys, and I do like that attention to detail. Their new alternate modes are also a considerable improvement upon what the Generation 1 era gave us. The G1s were highly thought of by the fans, especially today, as being pretty stupid due to the fact that all the detail went into the robots. The alternate modes all suffered from it, and they weren't really designed that well. These guys have shown that they could have been. In a lot of ways, I wished we had gotten them like this back in the old day. But that's why we've got them now. And if you don't mind shopping at Target, they're not a bad price. I would suggest, unless you're really, really desperate for them, you avoid buying them online and just go straight to Target and get them. $25 at the store isn't too bad, but $40 or more for them online, they're not really worth it. This is the one thing that's probably going to be one of the few things that'll be a sour spot to people on them is probably the fact that they don't have accessories, which in my eyes it's a minor gripe, but some people might want them to have exclusive accessories like the G1 versions did, and if that's your opinion, fine, that's your opinion, you're entitled to it. But also they do have their own exclusive map piece, so if you are collecting the map for Earthrise, you will have to go out and get them. So, unfortunately, if that's your path, I would definitely say try to avoid spending way, way, way too much money and just go buy them at the store. But when you get them out of the package, you certainly won't be too terribly disappointed. At least their alternate modes look half decent this time. And that concludes my review of the Earthrise versions of the Decepticon clones. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, drop me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you can join our ranks, and ring the bell so you'll be notified when we post new content, because as we get more Earthrise toys, we're going to try to squeeze more of them in this month. Also, I ask that you share this video with your friends and fellow collectors to help this channel grow, and also share your thoughts about the clones, or about any other characters from the Earthrise, Siege, or Titans line that you'd like to see transformed on camera in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.